university will be willing to fund some. Also, I'm trying to get there's a MOU between Egerton University and GDC. I'm trying to retrieve it somewhere, those offices, so I can see how GDC can chip in, and then we go on. Otherwise, thanks a lot and welcome to this meeting. Thank you. I'm through. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for your interesting talk about the project. We appreciate everything that you have done as our patron UTech Club, and we will try our best to, to take this project to the highest scale. So joining us right now is Mr. Kobia. And Mr. Kobia, if you are getting me, you may take this chance to tell us something.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've just logged in. I don't know how much you've gone. I'm just seeing the pattern speak the last moment. So I think I'll be able to contribute as we proceed. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So we also have our project coordinator, Andrew, who is currently an engineer in the field. So he has contributed a lot actually. He facilitated the development of all those documents that you are seeing right there. And so Henry, if you can hear me, you may take this chance in chipping your ideas.
Sure. Hello everyone. Hope you can hear me. Yes.
Hello, we are hearing you.
Yeah. Okay. My name is Henry. For those who may not be knowing me, it's good to see you, Dr. Manene and Mr. Kobia. It's been a while. I was selected to be the assistant project manager for this project. I wanted someone who is at Egerton to be the main project manager for the project, because most of the time I'll be away because I'm working in Nairobi. I was to touch on something here to do with just generally the project and all that. I'm glad Enoch did a good job. I could hear, but I was just on mute. Perhaps something that I would like to point out is, this is to you, Dominic, and also some bit Mr. Kobia. Just having some measures in place, because once we commission this system, this project, we'd like to maintain it and upgrade it for the next generations. Yeah? So we'd like to have continuity in the project. I think that would be the greatest risk, just like in the club also. So let's plan on involving the first years, the second years, just upcoming youngsters in the team, in the leadership and all that, guys who can take over after someone leaves, so that we don't have that gap. I believe we will pull this out. This is not a complex project done before, and I'm just registering my support. Anytime you guys need me, anytime you need my help, I'll just chip in and assist you guys. Otherwise, Enoch has touched a lot on what I prepare, because in my list under risks, I think we have to overcome something. It's a major hurdle, something to do with legal requirements and approvals, because we'll go the way to NEMA and all that. But I think with the GDC MOU, we'll be able to overcome such a risk. I think that's the greatest one that I had seen. The other one is just something to add on the team management and all that. Let's recall everyone to a central team. Let's have the main WhatsApp group. Let's close all the other WhatsApp groups. We do some head count. Let's know who is in the project and who is not, because I understand we are quite a number, but you can see in the meeting we are very few. Let's recall everyone back to the main WhatsApp group, and then we can do an head count, perhaps through someone filling a form, so that we can know how many people are in the project, and then we can plan ahead. And then now we can subdivide into manageable groups. Let's not have those 7 or 8. 3 are good. One for engineering, another for welfare, another one for management. now where Dominic and your officials will be communicating then engineering terms, engineering matters to go to one group, and welfare, all these others to go to the other group. And then also we can check our leadership. Let's also ensure we have guys leading the team, and people who are available whenever needed, because I know some have really gone below the water, as they say, or off the radar. So I think that's all that I had. I don't have much since we're just starting, like what Mr. Dr. Manena said. This is more of a POC. It's a micro hydro project. We'll be able to do it. I don't see any complexity. I have a friend who is a well-seasoned design engineer. We work together. He said he will be able to look at your cards and all that at least, and give you guys an approval if you need an approval for your designs and all that. He's good with the testing and simulations. Yeah. So all the best, guys. I'll be available anytime you guys need me. Yeah. That's it.
Okay, thank you for your talk, Henry. We'll appreciate any help that will come from you. Yeah, just to wind up, we have some few questions that were raised by different teams, but the one that's highly standing out is the fact that we need to have a budget, and it should be a reasonable budget. And currently, due to this COVID-19, not very many people are in the school or can access the school. So having that real-time data has been an issue to us. So Mr. Kobe, if you can help, perhaps you can touch on the budget. Currently, we are working on two proposals. One is for the USAID, and we are targeting up to 150 million. And the other one is for the school, which we had talked to our DVC, Professor Kai, and he had assured us that we can get up to around 2 million for this project just for the school. So, Mr. Kabia, if you can briefly touch on the budgeting and how we can approach it and how we can conduct these studies in the school now that people are not around and we need to have these facts and this data. So, we'll appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your sentiments. Now I think I'm in synchronism with what you are saying. And first of all, I have to thank you people for getting time to organize this meeting. It has been long overdue. I think if Zoom was there last year for this kind of meetings, then we could have been very far, because they have been having challenges of probably meeting. And of course, you cannot coordinate very well sometimes if you don't have such a forum to kind of meet and discuss. Well, of course, I also need to thank the chairman for him for finding time to be there, and our other guests. Thank you very much. My name is Kobia Mucheke. I am a little bit conversant with the microhydro systems or microelectric. I have worked. I had a project that I was working on previously, which is of course which can also be able to give us a milestone as far as this project is concerned. So touching on the issue of budget, budgets goes hand in hand with the documentations. I've always been insisting that we document what we are doing so that we can get the reports. So, because from there is when we can be able to extract a budget. But as much as we are not documenting what we are doing, rather if we talk of just a turbine, yeah, we say that we are going to construct a turbine. We are not going to just to take any other turbine. There are so many types of turbines, yeah. So we zero down on the kind of turbine that we want. We document why we need it vis-a-vis the others, so that we can be able to kind of fine tune our costing towards that turbine or any other device that you would require. Because if we are talking about such big budgets, the only resource that we know we have is water. Yeah, but for us to transform that water into electricity, then we must be having those mechanisms, those kind of devices, those instruments that you are going to require, the kind of the materials that you require, yeah, the kind of probably including a site and knowing the rights, the best site. Probably we know about the kind of the head which we require, yeah, the height, yeah, because if we require a very big if we are to talk of a turbine, it has been relationship with the head, yeah. There are some that are low end, others are sit high, yeah. So we cannot, so that's the reason I'm saying that once we know about the site where we are going to fix our project, then you can be able to know about the materials that you're going to use. With that, if you know the materials, then you can be able to come up with a budget. So documentation is very important. The moment the groups are given the tasks to do, let us each group document. Yeah, we cannot know about kind of the controls that we need unless we know what we have. So for us to know what we require in terms of controls, in terms of instrumentation that we require to monitor the current and all that, then we need to know what we need so that we can be able to approach it from that dimension. We see that we require a multimeter. It is this rating. We know that we require a motor. We know that is what we require to or rather and synchronize as a generator. Yeah. So what we have to document what we need so that you can be able to get a budget on that. I think that is what I can touch on the budget. The moment we get the documentation, then drawing a budget is not easy. It's not difficult. Thank you. I hope I have been able to address the issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your contribution. We just need some clarification. Since this is something we are working on currently, we would like you to give us a breakdown how we should approach it. Like, say from next week, how should we go about that documentation for us to justify whatever you are telling us? Perhaps we need this power, amount of power. Can we justify that power? If we need this size of a turbine, how can we justify based on the perhaps the head and the floor and everything, all the parameters that are within the scope? Thank you.
Chairman, would you like to say something? I see as if you have something to say.
No, just continue. No problem.
Okay. We need to know. For example, you say that we have some amount of money which probably we have to utilize, which according to me that some amounts are just I mean these are big monies, and for us to kind of manage this money, then of course what I can see here is a big project. Yeah. The first thing is that we know where we are going to establish the project. Then we see if we have got enough resources. Yeah. This is the amount, for example, if we are talking about River Darugu, the river that crosses along, the school, the university. How much, how much kind of project that can consume this around this 140 million that can be used or that can give us that output. Yeah. Ideally, we are supposed to kind of get the river, that river, if we do the month very well, how much kilowatts in terms of power can we be able to generate? Yeah. Of course, it cannot generate too much. Sometimes the river goes very low. That is the resource that we are going to use. But in other places where they have got the water of the big flow rate, then that can be something considered. Then it comes to the mechanism. Yeah, we have got, let's talk of, for example, the river that we have. The river, sometimes it goes down. What methods are we going to use to kind of do the amplification, yeah, to amplify the flow rate? If we are going to raise the water to a certain height, then drop it, what mechanisms are we going to use? Yeah. For example, on my project, I was working on something we call an hydra, whereby we thought of just boosting the water to a certain height, then dropping it. Yeah. We also need to know the expectation. If we are going to do a generation, what is the amount of power that we shall be generating? Yeah, in terms of kilowatts. Yeah, so that is one of the fundamentals issues that we need really to observe. Yeah, the other issue is, for example, the river where we are going to place the project along the school. Within the school, I think we don't have a very big end. Yeah, in terms of where we can be able to capitalize on. So if we had to put it there, then we have to also kind of create our own head so that we can be able to take it for a long distance, so that you can have that kind of waterfall, or create a waterfall that can be able to move a bigger generator, so that you can produce much power. But rather, the idea here is about mini hydro, yeah, which means that we don't need to offset the flow of river or something like that. So the mechanisms that we are going to use for that power multiplication is what really should guide us in terms of what amount of power we can be able to get. Or rather, if you have got somewhere that you have said that this is the amount that you want to produce, then it could be viable. Like I had the chairman saying that we are talking about lighting in the university. Yeah, if we can be able to know the amount of lights that we would require for lighting, let's say the street light, then we can work from there backwards. We say that we require 10 kilowatts of maybe, yeah, 10 kilowatts of power. Then we can be able to work backwards and be able to drive ourselves to see what we have. But if we don't have a limit, or we don't have a scope on which we want to work on, it becomes a bit difficult. So the moment we start the planning stage, we need to know what we want. If we want to zero in on only the lighting, the street lights, we just say that one light produces this amount of power. I mean, it requires this amount of power. Then we multiply by how many parts, I mean, how many we are going to install. Then from there, we get the power from there. I think that could be the starting point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the response. Okay, you have mentioned something to do with the lighting system. So if I may just go back to our chairman, if he may allow me, will you briefly touch on the cabling system that exists in the university and how you propose we could do it in our own way? Probably how we will be mapping out the street light, how our transmission lines will be looking like, how our step up and step downs will be like. Will you please touch on that?
Great. Thanks for your question. Well, it's a bit broad. Well, most of things have not been worked out, but my initial plan for this project is that let's generate the power. After generating the power, let's transmit it to electric lab. Somewhere in near electric lab, where you can have a mini station there, and from our mini station there. We can do kind of we don't connect with KPLC, but we can have cables running on the KPLC, just on the KPLC lines. But now just powering our street lights, just powering the street lights. So basically, from a point from our lab, from our electrical lab, where you have a small station, kind of a station and monitoring, we can be able to distribute it within the university. We can pick just a few, maybe even engineering block itself only to do the piloting and see how the performance is, and then later maybe with more funding and so on, and more clearance, we can export it to the university. Of course, well, we know River Darogo is quite erratic, and well, in rainy season might be able to power all the places, but during the dry season, our lights might be off. Okay, our system might be generating so little. So, but still, you have to work how the modalities now, how to distribute it. But first of all, let's generate a few watts and bring them to a lab where you can just do monitoring and so on, studies, and then we can now go on and expand the system. Maybe briefly, that's what I'm saying. But we'll continue thinking on the same issue. We'll have as days go by, we'll see the way forward. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a better approach to how we can consume that power. Though some people are proposing we perhaps supply the power to the student residential, like a place like Taton. You know, Taton, they say most of the times there's power outage most of the time in Taton. So people are suggesting we first target such places that there is poor lighting. Though I might try that idea, I think I like it. It's better off that way. So just to end up, Henry, if you are hearing me, maybe you can answer this question. How can we deal with conflicts like legal conflicts? Perhaps our chairman has mentioned using the KPLC existing lines. So what's the probability of us conflicting with the KPLC and other stakeholders in the game? So if you may just take a minute and take us through that.
Hi, Dominic. Okay. I'm not quite sure about the KPLC modalities because in Nairobi I've seen Zuku, I've seen Liquid Telecom using the KPLC poles to transmit fiber, just to mount their fiber cables around the estates. So I think they are approachable. It's just a matter of having the right documentation, as Kobia says, always is always insisting on that since we started doing even robotics, that we have documentation, because when you go to their office, they will first ask you for documentation. They'll see what amount of current will be carried through, the type of cables, and all that. They will also like to see if you have the input of an expert, so that they can trust that whatever you guys are going to be doing down there will be something that is safe. I don't see a conflict. Once we have everything ready, we have the right documentation. They are approachable. Those are people who can talk to, and they can give us a go ahead. I don't know whether there's a fee that someone pays. I believe there is a small fee because we are using an existing infrastructure. We get that from the project budget. Yeah. I don't see a big conflict coming from that side, because it's just our cables and we don't use any other part of their.
Okay, just on that note, they have suggested that the first subgrid can be in our labs. So if you consider transmission line, what can you estimate to cost us, like from the, okay, say we supply from the, you know, that gate, the upper gate, not the one on the engine.
Yeah, I know that gate.
Yeah, assuming there's our plant there, and then we want to transmit that power up to our labs for that substation. How can you estimate that, the size of cables and the cost of those cables? What can you estimate?
Okay. I wouldn't want to answer that quite just off my head. I'd like to do this from an informed point where we look at the size of the generator that we have, and then the distance, and then you can know the losses, and then the size of the cable that you'd like to use. I don't have an answer, a straight answer to that. We'll get that once we get started and we are done with the design, because we have to start with some good design. Because even when you go to the Kenya Power, they also ask for, do you have a design, do you have a layout of how you want to run your cables, yeah, and all that. So right now, I really don't want to say any figure. I'll be just tying my hands. Let's first finish the design and all that. I don't know whether Kobia wants to say something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I also want to agree with what Henry and what the chairman said. But the first thing is that we have to work something that is working. Yeah. The chairman says that we need to power the lab first in the first instant. But of course, you know that we'll have some power plant somewhere. Yeah. We'll have a small generation point somewhere. It will not be within the lab. The lab will just transmit the power from a certain point to the lab. Yeah. So even before we go to install or maybe to power the lab, then of course we'll be having a working system, yeah, with all the parameters. You see, Kenya Power doesn't have a problem if you have got the required kind of power requirements, yeah. Of course, they can even tell you to feed them in their grid if you can be able to produce enough power. But of course, on the other side, the resources within the university don't belong to the Kenya Power. Yeah, it's like they belong to Egerton. They where the Kenya Power comes in is only when they have got the main supply. But in the distribution within from one hostel to the other, that is the property of the university. But we don't even need to go there. As for now, if we catch or if we bite so much, we might not be able to chew. So the best thing is we plan up to a point when you are going to get power at the right frequency and at the correct voltage. Then from there, we can be able to now to know how to use it. We also need to plan if what kind of power we shall be producing. Is it a single phase or is it a three phase? Because of the complexities of getting us that kind of waveform. If it's a single phase, it's a bit challenging to produce. Well, okay, from my side, but if it were three phase, then it could be easier because of the kind of synchronous motors that are available in the market. So those are kind of areas we need to explore before even we go to the much finer details of installing. If you have got the correct power at the correct voltage and at the correct frequency, let's say 50 hertz, then distributing it is not difficult. But the nitty-gritty comes in what power are you producing? Is it single phase? Is it three phase? And at what voltage? That if we have to get that, then of course we are saying that we cannot produce all the way from Darugu. We come at the start kind of the distribution or maybe kind of manipulating the power from the lab. So we'll have to have the power from there. Then from there you can be able to check the distance whereby you can be able to drive our lines to the lab. But at the first instance, we need to go and locate somewhere along the river where we are going to locate our small power station, which we can call it. From there, we can have all the gadgets. Of course, we also need that place to be secured. Either we can put some kind of fencing or something like that, which means our systems has to be secure. So when you are documenting or when you are talking about the budget, we also need to know that our place is kind of secure. So that is we don't even need to go to the file. I mean, all those other details. We only need to know we are producing this amount of power at this frequency, and by that, the other kind of distribution will just come later. It's only that for budgeting, you need to know the distance. That is the only way you can be able to know the cables or the wires that you are going to use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your contribution, Mr. Kobia.
Okay,
Well,
Dominic, if I can cut you short.
yeah.
Hello, Dominic.
Hello.
Let me cut you. Let me cut you short. Just to Mr. Kobia for clarity purposes. Just imagine we've gotten the generator. We have the turbine from Mr. John Mwiti. So the best approach would be first we focus on having the station setup that's at the river, and then we run it on the site, and then try to see whether the generator can achieve the right frequency, the right voltage, before we can stress about transmitting, right? Yes, if that's it, then I agree with you, and that makes it easier even for Dominic in case you'd like to communicate to the teams. Someone wants to know where are we starting, what are we doing. I think that's makes it clear. Thank you.
Hello. Actually, on the same note, I was about to ask Dr. Manene what is his views on the fact that we already have the turbine, and also Engineer John has already bought some pipes, and he was talking about importing a generator. So, what are your insights towards that idea?
Well, one, okay, I know Engineer Muti is purchasing those things on his budget, but of course, when he gets some funding, it needs to be refunded. Well, when I talked to him, that he was saying that turbine is about, I think it was producing almost a kilowatt or something. But we've not gone actually deep in the details. But I'll need to get the specs for the generator. Then we can have a way forward. But well, the other day when we were visiting the other site near the other place that we are, the dam we are, he had another kind of arrangement that turbine, the circular one. That one will be more efficient. So, well, things will be changing as we move on because that's actually a new technology that he was demonstrating with the circular turbine, whereby you can channel water and then kind of circulate, and that was more efficient. And for River Joro, that would be more appropriate because of the volume. But anyway, well, things will evolve and we'll have a way forward. Yeah, a turbine can always be changed, but when you buy that generator, of course, that will be fixed. So it's just a matter of getting the most efficient turbine in that case. Maybe I cannot comment any more on that. Maybe some.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you, Dominic.
Chairman, you are mute and you are talking.
No, I have unmuted it.
Zero is okay.
Hello.
Hello, Chairman.
Okay, so as we wind up, I would like
Hello.
I would like everyone of you to just spare some minutes to give us some insights towards this project, and then we shall close this meeting. So just a few words, and perhaps where we should improve on, what we should focus on, and also the points that we should be including in our proposal and our budget, so that we we have more confidence and have more confidence towards winning those funding. So yeah, if I may just begin with Dr. Manene.
Okay, well, I don't have much talk at the moment, but there's that proposal we are developing, we are writing, and we'll try our fund. We send it to USAID. Maybe they can chip on this. All we have to do is that we have to show that it's involved the locals, and then okay, then of course we have the university and the students. So basically we have quite a number of stakeholders, and we have to prove the concept and to show that it can work, and maybe we can even with the first and second and even that phase. It's a big project by USAID. If you can win that tender, that would be fine. That the funding will be good. What you have to do is, well, you have to consolidate all the efforts and then submit it in good time before it's late. Otherwise, the project, I'm finding, to me, it's a learning curve. Yep. These we are allowed to make mistakes at this stage, but later now, if this one has become successful, now we are looking now at the future where you can launch projects out there. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Manene, for your time and for coming to share your insights with us. And if we may just proceed in that order, Mr. Kobia, you can just give us the last 3 minutes of your time.
So thank you very much for your time too, and thank you for well coordinated talk. Mine is to also echo what the patron has said, that we need to work with sprint. Yeah, and working with the sprint, it means that we need to know where we are coming from, and where we are going. How we can be able to know that is by documentation. Of course, I've just heard the chairman saying that you have already, somebody is in the process of acquiring a generator for this purpose. So we need to know what we need to take stock of what we have. The stock of what we have is critical, and what we require for the whole project in terms of planning, so that we can also be able to come up with a budget and all that. Then there is something that Henry talked about, which is very important. Yeah, this team has got so many people. Yeah, some of them might make the progress redundant. Yeah, we have always been saying that we cannot wait for somebody forever, so it's better to work with the people who are available. Yeah, a friend of mine tells me that he likes working with the people who are busy because they will never fail him. So if the moment you start working with only the people who are busy, leave alone those others who just come to stare and check what you are doing. If you just give them an off, we proceed. The few we are, the more manageable we are, such that we are able to fight with time. Yeah. If the group is too big, some of you will be drilling, then we might take a lot of time before we achieve. So mine is the teams. Let us work. Let us declare what we have. Let us declare what we want, so that we can document, fine tune, exchange ideas fast enough. Let's have some deadlines. Make sure that we meet the deadlines, so that we can progress. And I think if we have got a working team, then I believe in efficiency, because I believe in meeting the deadlines. Otherwise, I thank you, and I thank you for making this possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kobia, for taking your time to join us, and also your ideas and your support all along since this project started way back in 2019. Henry, if you can hear me, perhaps you can give us your last minute of your time.
Okay, let me first thank Dr. Manene and Mr. Kobia for and also Enoch for finding time to join the meeting. I believe it was on a honestly very quite short notice, but we created time. So as you proceed, just remember what you've been told by everyone in the team. I hope you've been writing or recording this meeting because we like to action all this and get going. I would like to remind you of something that Mr. Kobe always told us back in when you're doing robotics, that technology is not all about it's not like politics. It's not about numbers. It's about so just plan yourself, work on the team. Don't let guys sit in the dark for long because people will grow anxious and guys will leave and they just if you can organize the teams and all that and then have I don't know Zoom meeting. Zoom I think Zoom is easier than Microsoft Teams. It can be better just to have everyone and give everyone an update on what's going on and just justify the silence. Apart from that, also bear in mind that it's about generating the power, not even about where we're going to take the power. Just focus on generating the power. I think that will be more clear and even easier for us, because if you start thinking about transmitting and I don't know selling power, that's something that is a wide scope. We are casting our net quite wide. Let's cast it a bit narrow around the board. Just the thing that's all. Like always reach me in case you want any.
Okay, let me hope everyone is hearing me. First, let me thank you so much for honoring our invitation to attend this meeting. First, I'd like to thank Henry for attending, even though the notice was very short. Actually, we apologize. We are very sorry. Also, I thank you so much, Dr. Manene, for creating your time, just leaving your busy schedule and attending this meeting. Also, I'd like to thank so much Mr. Kobia for honoring the invitation. Actually, we apologize. The notice was very short. Maybe next time we'll improve on that. But everything that was discussed here was awesome, was very good. And I appreciate so much. I think from what I have heard from the three of us, I think we have to do away with the dormant department, maybe do a dormancy. A lot of the departments, they're very quiet, they are very quiet, and I think we need to stir them up. I think we have to move. And I thank so much our chairman, our UTech chairman, Dominic Carter, who have always been at the toes. Actually, at one time, I slept, but I thank him so much for has been always at the toes to wake us up. So thank you very much for this meeting. So I like to adjourn our meeting. Yeah, unless if there is anything that one of us wants to pass on. Okay, I think we have reached the end of our meeting. Thank you so much. The next meeting, I think the most important thing is to create more meetings to remind us and then also to discuss where we are. I had requested our UTech chairman, that is Dominic Carter, to give us at least some of the department to give us the reports where they are. So that maybe, some of the members don't know anything, maybe where we are, maybe remember we are done with the first step, that is concept initialization and conception, where the second step, that is a project definition and planning. So most of us don't know where we are. I think it will be very important if the team leads will give us the reports of their various teams and where we have reached and the achievements also. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Okay. Bye bye. Thank you so much. We'll communicate the next meeting.
Sure. Bye.
Bye. Wow. Hello, Chairman. Yes, Chairman. Can you hear me?